What? Interesting.
Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for September 13th. My name is Francis Sweeney. I am the substitute chair serving tonight. To my far left is board member T.R. Hatch. To my far left, T.R. Hatch. To my immediate left is Brandon Dines. To my right is Ashley Garkar. And to her right is Todd Goling. And to the far right is Heather Freeman, our Township Zoning Inspector. And to my far left is Keith Peterson, Township Legal Counsel. Under advice of our legal counsel, we ask that anyone speaking tonight be sworn in. If you plan on speaking, please stand now and raise your right hand. Oh boy. Full house tonight. All right. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. If so, say I do. I do. All right. Please be seated. Thank you. We have one matter of old business tonight and 4 matters of new business. When you come up to present your case, please come up to the podium, speak into the microphone, please state your name and your home address, and confirm that you have been sworn in. That'll help a lot. Heather, were all the legal notices published in a timely manner?
Yes, they were.
All right. As I mentioned, tonight we have old business variance, and is the applicant prepared to proceed tonight? Cody Armilli, this is application 2023-133. Okay, come on up.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, maybe
Yeah,
you could
I'll-
read in the
I'll
full
read the whole
application.
thing.
Thank you.
All right, so good evening.
Yes, hello.
All right, so this is variance application 2023-133. Cody Armilli, is that it?
Speaking, yes.
Armilli? Cody Armilli, on behalf of the property owner, Susan Armilli, is requesting a variance from section 29.10 B4 and section 29.10 B5 to allow a recreational vehicle to be parked or stored outside, not behind the building setback line, nor screened from the adjacent properties, in lieu of the requirements set forth in the above sections of the zoning resolution. This is for the property located at 7491 Mountain Park Drive, parcel number 10-025-D-00-018-0.
That's correct.
All right, good evening.
Hello, thank you for
All right.
having me.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I have been sworn in. Actually, I've come to new revelations since our time in our previous meeting.
I'm sorry, yeah, I can't.
Sorry about
hearing.
that. So, since our last meeting, I've actually made some progress in my plans for the vehicle. And I couldn't find a mechanic, but I was able to become the mechanic and fix the vehicle, so I'm planning on getting it out of the property's location within the next month or so, or 2. Granted, everything still...
All right, so the representation to the board this evening is that the plan is...
to just get the variance for the meantime in the next
Well,
month or so until I can
before we get to that, it's your
vehicle out of-
intention to move the vehicle off the property. Is that
yeah.
correct?
Yeah, that was always the intention.
Okay. And
Just didn't work out that way.
what kind of time frame are we talking about?
Like a month or 2. Yeah.
Like a month?
Yeah.
I mean,
As long as everything goes well, it should be a month. Now, sometimes things don't go always as planned.
right.
So, as long as everything goes as planned, which is what is in motion, everything's set for a month. So,
Okay, so 30 days from today.
yeah. Yes. Like as long as I said, like as long as everything continues, which it should, everything's lined up, but I can't be in the control of everything.
So what is
Whether
your
people-
request at this time?
My request is to seek a variance for a temporary being If it was permanent, it would negate the possibility of further things happening that might complicate it, and then being in the situation down the road and then having to do further discussions, which I'm trying to prevent. So if it was permanent, that would negate that possibility. However, that being said, my intentions are to have it out within the next month. I just don't want to be, if something happens, heaven forbid, something else comes along, which I can't control. But if it was permanent, then it would eliminate any further discussions, but it should be gone within the next month because of the further progress that I've made since last meeting. So that's kind of where I stand right now.
Yeah. Before we just have a discussion, is there anything else that you want? So the request, I'm a little bit confused about the request. You want to request the variance, but for a limited period of time?
Well, if it's permanent, then it's easier that way, just on the paperwork. But if you guys feel like you want to restrict it, that's your call. I'm just letting you know where I stand right now. That I've resolved the situation as much as I could, and I'm planning on moving it. But if you did request the variance, it would at least eliminate any further complications between us down the road, and it would help things run smoother, at least on your end. But if you want to limit it, that's your option. I just wanted to say that's where I stand.
Well, I mean, you also have other options. Are you aware of that?
No.
Well, I mean, I don't know that we can give advice.
May I?
Sure.
You understand you've applied for a variance, right?
Correct.
You've asked this board to provide for you a variance to allow this recreational vehicle to stay on the property.
That's correct.
You're telling us now that you're leaving it up to us, in a sense, to decide if we want to make it permanent or if, in fact, we want to restrict you to a month or some other time period.
My intentions are to have a permanent one, yes, because that would be the smoothest,
So-
easiest option.
So, okay. Do you have anything else you want to tell us? I mean, you're kind of hedging your bets here with what you want to do. I mean, is there something you want to tell this board specifically that gives you a permanent variance as you've applied
Of
for?
course, yeah. I apologize for the inconveniences, but basically my hands were kind of tied. I got this thing, and what turned out to be an investment turned out to be really a nightmare, to be frank. So in terms of the reasoning why I was requesting a permanent variance before was because I physically couldn't move the vehicle. I couldn't get it out of park. There was a whole bunch of other issues in terms of like relocating it to the side of the house, which would have been in the zoning district's regulations. In terms of the shrubbery, there's a basketball hoop. There's a very sturdy foundation, concrete foundation, that was right next to that. Would have had to be removed. There's a whole bunch of shrubbery on the side. It's not level, so it would have had to get some kind of like a concrete, I'm guessing some kind of concrete. I'm not a concrete finisher, but some kind of concrete pathway, so that because of the weight, and to make sure it's steady. So there was a whole bunch of complications with that. On top of that, I physically couldn't get it out of park to shift, and I was having some other issues in terms of like starting it and charging it, etc. But
How long has it been there?
a while, months, all year. Yeah. The thing is
When was it first there?
I think it was January maybe.
2023 or 2022?
Yeah, 2023. So all year, I've been working on this. But I was living in California at the time, so I wasn't able to. I was paying mechanics to come and take care of it, and making phone calls, and they weren't. That was
Are
the
you
problem.
living in the RV?
No.
Did you ever at any time consider paying a tow truck to tow it from
Oh,
the
of course.
property?
Yeah,
Okay.
it got towed there. That's why I won't shift, because I think that they damaged it when it was towed.
Okay.
To be honest. And that kind of put a wrench in everything too. But like I said, I've been able to get it shifting in gears and charging so that it is roadworthy, so I can get it out of there.
Does
So
it move now?
Yeah, it
Feels-
didn't before.
So
That's the difference between now versus the last time we met.
So it's stuck in park and it wouldn't start.
Oh yeah, well
So now-
yeah.
now-
There's a whole bunch of issues.
So now it starts,
Yeah,
it runs.
yeah,
Does it move?
yes.
Like if you could drive it down the
Yes.
street right now, you could do it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the difference. So if you guys just give me some time to pretty much get it out, pretty much.
What's stopping you from driving it down the street right now and finding like a long-term storage park?
Well, I'm having issues with the insurance because I wasn't aware of this, but apparently it's got a state issued VIN number, which I didn't know was a thing, to be honest. And I'm having a lot of issues trying to get full coverage to make the trip. Apparently there's not a lot of companies that will offer full coverage. I haven't found any that will offer full coverage to get from A to B with a state issued VIN number
Where do you want to take it?
to California.
Oh, to California.
Yeah.
So, but temporarily, just to fix our problem now.
Yeah, it's gonna be
To
it's
get
gonna
it
be
out of the
gone.
driveway. Is there a
It'll
place?
be gone forever.
Could you store it some other place now to make this problem go away now?
No.
Like,
No, because the insurance, and I also I'm waiting for my my social security card in the mail so I can get the plates and all that. So
so I know Bob's,
So it's-
Vidaloni's, 3S all have heavy duty records that can move it right now.
but it needs plates. So I'm also
You'll need plates to tow it.
I'm not really sure on that. I would have to do the
So
So
if
I
I,
just look
I
at
guess
the
the
laws.
solution is what I'm trying to offer here is
I just need a little more time is what I'm trying to say to get to work at all the little details that are still lingering now that I got it fixed, because I wasn't really focusing on that part because I was focusing on just trying to get it fixed. But now that that's done, I'm trying to get the other logistics part. That's why I'm asking for a little bit more of extension, and then it should be gone.
well just for your own information. If you tow it, you don't need plates.
Okay.
You don't need insurance.
Okay.
It becomes part of the tow truck problem at that
Okay.
point. So just if you need to move it,
See,
it can be moved
Okay.
without having to worry about the VIN or the insurance.
That's
or anything
interesting.
like that.
Yeah, because California is different. California, they require all that, At least that's been my experience. So maybe I don't know.
It's a freebie here.
Okay, good to know.
So, Heather, what happens if the variance is heard tonight and it's granted, and if there are restrictions put on it, which I assume there will be because the applicant themselves is suggesting
Well, I
as
mean,
much. But if there are, and she does not comply with the variance and its specifications, what happens then? Does she get a notice? How does that work? I don't think we've ever addressed this issue.
I don't know if legal counsel would want to
Keith,
chime in on that.
What would happen? Do they get a notice, you're in violation of the variance granted on such and such a date? You must immediately
I'm trying to avoid
cure
that.
whatever.
Yeah, so if Heather said, oh, the, whatever it was, 1 month variance had expired, the vehicle was still there, and there was no other conditions involved, it was just basically a 1 month variance, we would probably just proceed like a regular zoning violation.
And we start all over from the beginning.
See, that's what I'm trying to avoid. I'd rather not.
No complaint.
I'd rather not have to repeat this,
Don't need to go.
All right.
if possible.
All right. Okay. All right, I don't have any other questions. Anybody have any other questions? For the applicant?
Yeah, I do apologize for this inconvenience. That was never my intention to get to this point. Just sometimes things don't work out like you hope they do.
With your plans to move the trailer, the RV, does that also include plans of, I saw there is a flatbed trailer there now, next to the RV?
Oh no, that's ironically that's just timing coincidence because we're having the roof redone. So the trailer's there just to help the guys. I think they're coming tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact.
Okay, so that's a contractor's trailer, that's not your
Right,
trailer?
that has
Okay.
nothing to do with me.
Okay.
That should be gone the next few days.
Okay,
Yeah. It's just timing. Everything's happening
Yes.
at once. You know how that goes.
All right. All right. Anybody have any other questions for the applicant? Is there anyone else here speaking for or against this variance?
Gosh.
Let's start
Okay.
with those who are in favor of the variance. Anybody here to support the variance? Other than yourself? All right, so those who are against, we'll probably start in the front here and go up, and then,
Do you want to put a time on that?
what?
Can we put a time on that on each speaker?
We'll see what she said, that's what I wanted to do. Okay. All right, come on up, sir.
My name is Fred Burkhart. I have been sworn in. My wife Linda is there. We live at 7501 Mountain Park Drive. We're the Armelli's next door neighbor.
And we do have your letter.
I sent you a letter.
Yep.
Well, I have, it's easier for me to read than, okay. I'm here to protest giving Mrs. Armelli the variance. I've also sent you an email of protests and problems of the RV. 9 months ago, Susan Armelli called us from Florida saying the RV was going to be delivered, and at that time she told us it would only be there for a few weeks. When it arrived, it was being towed. She never told us it was broken down and what I call an eyesore. It has sat in the same place since that day 9 months ago. 4 seasons have gone by. There have been nights the RV have had lights and curtains drawn, lights on and curtains drawn. A power cord is strung to the RV from the house for many months and still is today. I've heard that they've been told in January, June, July to remove it from the property. They have not. By getting this variance with no end date, they would be able to keep this RV in the drive indefinitely. They would not have to fix it, keep it up, or move it ever, deteriorating even more as time goes by. They towed it here, I heard, all the way from Columbus, Ohio, instead of towing it to a repair shop close to where it broke down. In their statement, they said no mechanic was able to repair it after numerous times, 9 months of time. The street is owned residential. It should not be a repair shop or a junkyard. If the Armellis cannot fix it correctly and make it safe to put on the road, and they cannot live in it according to zoning regulations, what would be the reason to, or purpose, to store it indefinitely? In my opinion, it is old, broken, and in poor shape. Its condition is going to get worse in time, not better. In my opinion, it is a fire hazard and a safety hazard. It limits our vision when pulling out of the driveway. We can't see the cars coming down the road in enough time to pull out. If by chance my grandchildren are in the front yard and ran towards the street, they, or whomever is watching them at the time, or the driver coming down the street, might not have enough vision time to prevent a tragedy. If my older grandchildren went for a walk up the road, then we could not keep an eye on them, keep them in our view. This is a wall that limits our view from looking up the road from our yard. Imagine not looking to the right from your yard for 9 months. This is a basic right of me being a homeowner that is denied to me. I sit out in my front yard, I look up, I see a 30-some foot wall there. You can't see nothing. The condition and the size of the RV is not good. Rear bumper and back engine panels are off much of the time and on the ground. Large accident damage on the right side, two-tone faded paint, and the back sides are stained dark and greenish color with what looks like to me like a mold or a mildew. Please don't take my word for it. Come down, take a look. I'm telling the truth. See for yourself the damage, the appearance, and the safety hazard aspects of it. In closing, I feel the variance should not be approved. I do not want, in my opinion, this eyesore and potential safety hazard to affect my property value or my basic rights as a homeowner any longer. Please deny this variance and get the RV removed and the problem corrected. Don't give Mrs. Armelli more time for more excuses. 9 months, in my opinion, is enough time. And that's how I feel. 9 months is a long time. It's been there since January.
No.
All right.
People come down the road, they stop and say, "What's going on with that?" And I said, I don't want to talk about it.
All right, thank you.
I can tell you, thank you. We've all been there to look at it. So
Okay.
we're all patently familiar with what exists and
We all know.
we're very well aware. So thank you for telling us that.
You had some comments, sir?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to.
Yep, come on up, come on up. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Well, I think Fred stole my thunder here. We have a lot of the exact same things. My name is Larry Schroeder. I live at 7475 Mountain Park Drive, the property directly adjacent to where the Armillies live, and this RV has been there for 9 months. Just real
Have you been
quick.
sworn in?
I'm sorry?
Have you been sworn in?
Yes, I have. I'm sorry. We bought our house about 2 years ago. When I bought my house, the RV was not there. And I can look each and every one of you in the face and say I would absolutely not even consider buying a home with a derelict RV parked in the driveway next door, especially knowing that it's trying to be forever. This past year, I put a lot of money into my house. Put a new roof, new siding, did some drainage work, a fence, a little bit of landscaping, with the intent of improving my property value. Having this RV is definitely not helping the cause. I mean, that's an obvious. For the record, this homeowner willingly brought this RV onto the property, knowing that it was in a state of disrepair. So as far as I'm concerned, that's not my problem or any other neighbor's problem. That's their problem, and that problem should be addressed elsewhere than on the property where it's being stored right now. And that's the way I look at it, it's being stored. And once again, as Mr. Burkhardt said here, that there is an extension cord. I've seen that with my own 2 eyes. I've seen lights go on and off. So to say that nobody's been living in there, I think is not 100% truthful. I've seen the lights go off at night. I've seen persons go in and out of that RV. And on that note, for a long time, I had no idea who this person even was. My family lives 100 feet from this RV, and now there's a stranger using it as a hangout or place to sleep. I was never informed who this person was, and that to me is not good in this current environment. Pretty much I'm on the same page as Fred here, that I completely believe that this should not be granted for any more time. I leave my driveway in the morning, I see this RV. I come down the road, I see this RV. I mow my yard, I see this RV. I can't enjoy my yard without staring at this eyesore. And that's exactly what it is. I'm pretty confident if any of you had this next to you, you'd want it gone as well. So that's really all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next. Anybody over on this side of the room speaking against? All right, so we're good with this side of the room. Let's start with this side of the room, in the front. Anyone here to speak?
Okay.
We're on the against now. There was no one else for. Anybody else have anything that they want to say?
Apparently
All
not.
right. Okay. All right then, if does the board have any further questions of any comment? I will. Okay. At this point, I will close the public section. All right. And there's no discussion, or if there's discussion, any discussion?
I'll start and try to succinctly help if I can.
Sure.
I think we've heard enough, and we've got a lot of letters from residents and everyone else. I don't think any of the testimony has provided us with any evidence whatsoever by which we would grant this variance. And I think it's quite simple. I don't think there's one thing that's been provided by the applicant that shows us a hardship or anything else sufficient to overcome. So,
I'd like to make a motion to vote.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And just to be sure, the motion is to approve or deny the variance. And I received that motion and a second. All right, so the question is on the approval of variance number 2023-133. A yes vote is for the approval of the variance. A no vote denies the variance. A minimum of 3 board members must vote either in favor or against for it to carry. Heather, you take the roll?
Yes. Ms. Garkar,
No.
Mr. Hack,
No.
Mr. Dines,
no.
Mr. Golang,
No.
Mr. Sweeney.
No. All right, your application has been denied. We appreciate you coming in tonight. Thank you. On to the next variance, on Under new business, we have a variance application 2023-134, Jessica L. Edwards.
Just for the record, I'm going to recuse myself as Mr. Markowitz is a law partner of mine, so I will step out.
Okay, so noted.
Thank you, Mr. Sweeney. Thank you, Mr. Burns.
I'm just going to read the
right
application, Mr. Markowitz,
Sure.
if you don't mind. Jessica L. Edwards, as represented by counsel, Mr. Markowitz, is requesting a variance per section 9.03B from section 15.02 use regulations to allow for the storage of 4 motor vehicles to deliver potable water and to use a storage shed to service the vehicles and water tanks and provide employee parking for 4 vehicles. This is for the property located at Carter Road, parcel number 08A-009-000-008-0. All right, Mr. Markowitz, good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Dale Markowitz, 100 7th Avenue, Suite 150, Chardon, Ohio, 44024, and I have been sworn in. I'd first like to hand a packet of exhibits that we're going to use tonight to each of you, and Mr. Peterson have one for you as well. And I'm going to go through this as I'm talking.
Mr. Markowitz, I'm sorry to interrupt. Mr. Chairman, do we want to ensure that he still would like to move forward with only 4 members instead of a board
Oh,
full of
yes.
5?
I'm sorry, Heather. Thank you. Would you like to move forward?
Sure, we would move ahead with 4.
Okay, and you understand the ramifications?
Yes, and I've explained to my client we need 3 out of the 4 yes votes to sustain the variance.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Sorry about that, Heather. Thank you.
Thank you. I missed that part. Yeah.
I'll go through the exhibits in a minute. My client, Jessica Edwards, is here sitting next to me, and she's surrounded by some of her neighbors and some of her customers, many of them who have a passionate desire to be here tonight to help her. And it was kind of interesting, the 2 gentlemen who were talking about how would you like to have that RV next to your home. I sort of have the same question for you, which is how would you like to live in a house that doesn't have water? And that's what confronted my client a number of years ago, which we'll go into in a little bit, as well as many of the people who are here tonight who are supporting my client. My client suffered through a period of time where there was no water that was potable that they could live on in their home. They live on Route 86. That's just south of and across the street from the 2-acre parcel, which is the subject of the variance. And in a very short period of time after they moved in, they found out their water was eating away all their appliances, and the salt contamination from ODOT was so high that they had to replace appliances, faucets, whatever, and they had to stop using their well, as did some of the other people in their neighborhood. And as a result of that experience, which she'll go into more detail on because it's pretty amazing, she got into the business of trying to haul water for her family and then for some of her neighbors, and now it's grown to the point where she has 4 water tank trucks, and she has some extra water tanks, which she moved to this 2-acre parcel after she bought it last year. And we've determined that we needed to get a variance because that property is zoned R4. It's not zoned for storage of these vehicles. And I'll go into all that in a minute. I spoke with Mike Lucas, your legal counsel, and we agreed and entered into a forbearance agreement where my client was given until the end of November to accomplish gaining the variance, or she would have to move everything off the site. That's been signed by the Board of Trustees and my client, and we're all living by it. My client acquired the 2-acre parcel from the Manley family because she wanted to move these trucks that she had been parking at her house off of her property and put it onto another parcel. This parcel was appropriate in her view as well as mine because It's a property that cannot be used for residential. It has no water. It is right by the freeway. The way the topo sits on this particular lot, it's very high up. There's a lot of noise from the freeway. When Jessica and I were out there on the lot, it was pretty amazing to me how loud the noise was, and pretty disruptive to anybody who wants to live there. And there are some other homes, in Concord as well as elsewhere that are subject to noise, but in this particular area, there's no sound barriers on Interstate 90 to protect that area. But more importantly, that property was owned by the Manleys since about 1957, and they never were able to put a house on it or sell it because there was no water. And they, like many other people in that part of Concord, were waiting for the county or somebody else to bring a water line to that property, which hasn't happened, and probably will not happen, probably not during my lifetime. So my client said, well, I can use that property to store my trucks. I'll move them away from my house. It'll be further away from my other neighbors. She had spoken with the people who are neighbors to that particular lot, who are one of the families to the east, the West family. They're here to support her, and found that they had no problem with what she was doing. It wasn't until after she had put the trucks on the property that Heather made her aware that she was in violation of zoning, and then she contacted me, and hence we're here for the variance. The reason why we think you're entitled to grant the use variance, which you have to prove a unnecessary hardship for use variance, unlike a practical difficulties test. If we were saying, well, we're only 10 feet from the line and we need to be 20, but we have practical difficulties, give us relief. The standard here is a little bit harder. We have to prove to you that we have no way to use that property for which it's zoned. Jessica will testify to that, but I have well logs in the packet here, which we can show you, and I'm sure it's well known in the community now. And you'll see there's well logs that we presented of the homes and parcels right around there where there's either no water and they drilled wells and they had to shut down the operations because they couldn't get a well, or the well collapsed because the aquifer is so bad. And in addition to that, the well don't work very well there because there's contamination that has occurred for a long time from ODOT putting too much road salt on in that area. And because of the nature of the aquifer and the geology in that area, the salt gets into the aquifer very quickly and causes a high concentration of sodium. This particular parcel, the 2 acres, is also one of those where you couldn't drill a well. My client contacted Fridabaugh about it, and they said, it's not worth drilling a well, you're not going to get water there. And we went and looked at all the well logs, which you'll see here, and at best, the wells had maybe 2 gallons per minute. A couple of them were 1 to 1.5. Some of them were 40 gallons per hour, which is less than 1 gallon per minute. And the drawdown was significant. I'm not sure all of you know what the drawdown means. I know some of you do. But in aquifers, particularly in Northeast Ohio, you have what's called the cone of influence. Think of it as an ice cream cone. The top part is the widest part. The bottom is the funnel is the narrowest. The water draws down from the top. It gets to a narrow point, and now you're past the point where your well is able to get the water and you're sucking air, and your pump is doing nothing for you because it can't get to the water. So you'll see that in a very short period of time, in 1 hour, for example, on one of these, the Burbansik's property, which is next door to my client's property, they had a 50-foot drawdown in 1 hour, which is enormous. That tells you how bad that is. So, it could take you weeks and weeks and weeks to be able to pump your well to get enough water in a reserve to be able to survive over the course of, let's say, a month. Which is why my client went into the business of getting water from Lake County and on occasion from Geauga County, which she first provided at her home, and then her neighbors asked her to provide it. She did. She started to add more people in Concord, and now she's added some other people in Geauga County as well. The water comes from the Bacon Road facility that Lake County owns, There's another one that Geauga County owns across from the UH Geauga and the new county administration building. There is a source of water for her down there as well. The majority of people that she serves are residents right around here, and some of their wells are listed in my well logs here. And they are people who are going to speak tonight and tell you why it's not only important for her to be in business, but it's important for her to be in business right there. Because you go to take a shower and you're out of water, and you got friends coming over for dinner and you can't boil water, what are you going to do? Well, it's sort of like the Ghostbusters. You're going to call Jessica. And if Jessica's trucks are right there, she's going to be able to go in her truck and take it right to your house and give you water. So that is why she picked that lot, in addition to the fact that it had lain fallow for, probably forever. And now you've got an opportunity to use it just for storage. You're not going to have commercial operations there. You're going to park the vehicles there. She parked those same vehicles on her lot for 5 years, and nobody ever had an issue with it. But she got to the point where she said, I think I should move these vehicles and put them on a lot. So she made an agreement with the Manleys and bought the property. We have agreed as part of the conditions of our variance, and we would ask you to put that in your motion if you are so willing, that she would not have more than 4 water trucks parked there, and she would not have other vehicles parked there other than employee vehicles. There's a little shed there you'll see from the site photos that Jessica took that she'll testify to, that she would have the shed there, and there's a couple of small little plastic water tanks she uses to be able to fill up and to be able to supply her neighborhood. We would also ask you to understand, because this is water, and it's potable water, which is in very short supply in that part of the township, it's a very important function that she serves. So it's another reason why, in our view, this would support a use variance, in addition to the fact that you can't use that property for a house. There's a reason why it never had anybody build on it since the Manleys bought it. It was now almost 70, about 67 years ago. I'll come back at the end for anything else that you might want to know about. Jessica will speak, and then some of the other folks will. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to entertain those now.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm Jess Edwards. I live at 12275 Painesville Warren Road. I own the property on Carter Road that we're discussing now. I have been sworn in. My husband and I started our water hauling business in 2018. I'll give you the Cliff Notes version because I could really write a book from what we've gone through. We bought our house in 2010, our dream home, start our family. And I'll try not to cry. It's a lot bringing it all up. Got pregnant right away. In May of 2011, I ended up with preeclampsia. Unbeknownst to us, our well was contaminated with road salt. We were drinking the water, cooking with the water, bathing in the water. We were living in our house. And my daughter was born a month premature. She was 4 pounds. I breastfed. She never latched because she was so small. We came home after 10 days of being in the hospital. I had to pump continuously, wash all of my parts. So within less than a year, our brand new stainless steel dishwasher rusted out, leaking all over. What happened? Our brand new stainless steel sink rusted out. Then it was our hot water tank, our washing machine. I'm trying to raise my daughter. I was still working. I went on early maternity leave, so I was running the senior center I worked at, trying to figure out what's going on with my home. I contacted every agency in the state. I came to the Concord trustees for help. The Lake County Health Department told me to contact ODNR, because there had been a well that was drilled by us to see if there was fracking that had caused our salt in our water. ODNR determined it was road salt. We drilled another well to find out it was also contaminated. The whole aquifers in our property was contaminated. We cut off using the water. I carried my dirty dishes back and forth to work every day for 2 years. I brought home gallons and gallons of water to bathe my daughter. I did everything to fight for my family. The help of Congressman Joyce putting pressure on ODOT, they finally did an investigation to help us. They took 283 soil samples to find out that it was contaminated. And if I wanted them to do anything to help me, I had to sue them. So we did. We set a precedence in the state that they're not maintaining the road ditches and the salt is contaminating aquifers. If you do a Google search, you'll find it's happening all over the country, but other states are taking responsibility. In the meantime, our lawyer had us cut off all of our water to our house. We bought tanks and put in a holding tank system in our garage. The company that we had delivering our water went out of business. So then I spent another 2.5 years driving back and forth every Saturday of my life with a 300-gallon tank in my pickup truck to my father's house to get my own water. It got old. It took me 8 to 9 hours every Saturday. So what I did, I packed up my daughter, went to see my dad to get our water, came home, pumped it in our tank, went back. So there were very little options to get water delivered. There was a company in Geauga that was crazy expensive. Another couple guys in Leroy that were not certified at the time for household water. Obviously that was very important to me that someone does it the way it's supposed to be done. So my husband and I discussed getting a water truck for our own house. I, in the middle of the lawsuit, had taken a position at the state. I worked downtown Cleveland. My husband actually works somewhere very close to this building. We started hauling water to our neighbors and ourselves nights and weekends. We continued to grow. We now have 4 trucks. For 5 years, my trucks have been in broad sight in our back service driveway. It was getting, we were causing trouble with traffic by trying to shuffle trucks in and out of the driveways. So we decided to buy that property because it had been for sale the entire time that we had been living there. I can tell you I've had probably 10 to 15 calls, people that were looking at buying that property, and they were asking me because they saw my trucks out there about the water situation, what to do. I explained to them the same thing I talk to any new customer that calls me on what to do, because I don't know about all of you, but until you don't have water, it's hard. It's very hard. No one ever bought it. Then we decided to purchase it, to move the trucks over there. And again, I never knew I couldn't have them at my house because they had been there for 5 years. And now we moved them across the street and you cannot even see them now. Now they're completely in the woods, out of sight. They leave in the morning and they come back at night. We leave water on the trucks on the weekends and the evenings because the water plant is not open on Sundays. They close at 8 o'clock at night. So if any one of these people call me at 9 o'clock and they know they can, hey, somebody left the toilet running, Jess. I need to shower tomorrow. I have a busy appointment. I'm there at 6 o'clock in the morning so they can take a shower, so they can go to work. I'm asking that you consider this variance because we've invested so much money now on property that no one is going to buy back from us. So I can continue to keep serving the customers I serve. We haul almost 5 million gallons of water a year. In the last 8 months, over 100 residents in Concord alone. We do all of Lake County. We service all of Friedaba and Ayers Well Drilling's emergencies. When they have an emergency, they call me if they're putting in a temporary system for anybody. I cannot even tell you how many businesses in this area that I am listed on their emergency prepared plan. If something happens and there's no water, They call me at 3 in the morning. We just hauled 130,000 gallons of water 3 weeks ago so a company could flush out the Dominion gas lines. So we all have heat, whoever has natural gas this winter. It's just unbelievable that my whole life has been consumed by water since we bought this house. And all I'm asking is that I can continue to keep serving my customers. We have done everything to respect all of our customers. They all knew before we bought this property what we planned on doing. We put the trucks back in the middle of nowhere so they're not seen. They're not, excuse me, an RV sitting there blocking someone's view. I have a whole list of things I'm supposed to say, but
Can you go through the site photos?
Yes. Should I walk up there and show them?
They've got that.
Okay, so the site photos. You can see the property. I don't know if the one that's, I don't have that with me. You can see this first one. You can see the property is very narrow, straight back. It actually V's back here, so we are almost, I can see Route 90 where we stand, where our trucks are parked. It is loud as can be up there. We have an area here where our employees park. We have 4 trucks, but I'm the main driver. In the winter, it's usually just me. There's not even many days that there's 3 other cars there. And again, we have that even designed where you can't see it. It still looks secluded and in the woods. If you look at the next few pictures, all 4 of our trucks are parked back there. You can't see them from the road. That's the photo that says from the road, all 4 trucks parked up there. That's how they are all parked up there. And behind the truck with the greater tank, there's a barn, which is actually the west barn for their horse barn. So we are closest to them. We have it all, we just spent almost $10,000 in gravel to build this driveway before any of this even happened. So not only did we purchase the property, we have all this other money invested. You can still see this picture here. If you're standing at the road, there's 4 trucks up there, 4 big trucks that you cannot see.
Oh, they're parked there now.
They're, they're parked there in the picture.
I don't see them.
Yeah, if you look at this little tiny part right there.
Got it.
You can see in the packet, there's also a letter from heirs about how we do all their emergency services. The Jacobs, who are next to our property and that property, I guess I don't need to give you all this. Anyway, I'm asking to continue serving this community.
Do all the houses on Carter, like when you go up to Carter that parallel the interstate, none of those have good water?
Most of them are here and I serve their water.
I had no idea.
There's also newer houses on Breezewood that have just been recently built that are also now contaminated with road salt.
So they have cisterns now?
Yeah. And the ones that, there's many customers that we have that have holding tanks in the basements. Luckily, this summer was very rainy, so we didn't have that much of a drought. But typically, we're running hoses through people's basements to fill 300 gallons just so they have enough water to get through a couple days. There's very little water in that area of Concord and Leroy. I know more about water than I've ever wanted to know about in my entire life. I was a director of a senior center. This is it. I truly believe now the universe put me where I'm supposed to be, that I was given this burden because I was able to carry it and now I can help others. And that's all I'm asking. Because if we can't keep them there, no one's gonna buy this property and we're out. I don't even know what we'll do. forget anything else, Neil? Okay,
How's your daughter doing?
she's good now. She's good. 12 going on 20. Who has no idea?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
I can show you videos of what the water was coming out, as black as that.
Is it okay if Mr. West goes next?
Yes, can we take a short break?
Sure.
I have to use the restroom.
Absolutely.
Take a quick break. Resume in 5 minutes. All right, ready to reconvene. Thanks for allowing me to take a break. All right, again, thank you for your participation. Is there anyone else that is speaking
Can we do against first?
on behalf of this?
Can we do against first? Against first?
Yeah, all right, is there anyone that is against this? Let's start with those who are against this variance. Doesn't look like there are any.
Okay.
Let's
Says a lot right there.
let's start with those who are in favor, and let's start from the front, and we'll go work our way to the back.
I think we had a guy that they wanted to go first.
Does someone need to go first?
No, we're okay.
Was it? Okay.
Okay, all right, then we'll just go in order from front to back.
All right. My name is Harry Cook. I live at 12135 Huntoon Road, Concord, and yes, I've been sworn in.
Okay.
But I was a former driver for JCE Water. And all I want to do is really say that they're an asset to the community. They're not a company that you're going to go by their place and find junk laying all over the place. And like a trucking company, sometimes you go by and it looks like a junkyard, right? They keep their equipment maintained. They're state certified, so they're not just a hillbilly type outfit. They're a top-notch outfit. And working for Jess, there's so many times when she would say, we got somebody out of water, bam, and there we go. So they always take priority. And I just think they'd be a great asset to the community. They should be allowed.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank
I just
you.
live around the corner from them, so.
Yeah, Huntoon, yeah, sure.
And then deliver water.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's it for me, thanks.
Next.
For the board to see.
So just to be sure, sir, you're speaking in favor
I am.
of granting the variance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Richard Smith.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't hear you.
My name is Richard Smith,
Okay,
and my wife and I live at 6257 Conley Road. We are about a quarter of a mile across the other side of the freeway from the property in question. We bought our property, we've been there for 28 years. When we first bought the property, there was a right of or notice of disclosure, as most sales have, that there were some issues with the property. One of the issues was water. So when I got into the house and did a tour of it, I found out that there was so little water from
all right,
the
sir,
well.
we're speaking about the property that's the subject of the variance?
Yes.
Okay,
yes. But
all right.
The point is, we needed to have the water delivery
Brought in,
because our
okay.
well
Yeah.
went blank.
Sure.
So we had 1,600 gallon underground storage tanks installed. And when they were installed by Ayers, Jessica was the water purveyor that filled our tanks and has been ever since, about 3 or 4 years now.
Okay.
So we lived there for 24 years, going to the laundry every day or whatever without water. Now we've got water. It's a blessing to have Jessica and her. She's very prompt, very courteous. Everything's well maintained. Just for purposes of illustration, I wanted to show this map from ODNR, which shows how poor Lake County is in water quality. All the orange spots are less than 2 gallons per hour. Now,
Okay,
the necessity of having water, obviously,
right, we're aware of that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So, she delivers so many gallons of water because the average family of 4 takes about 12,000 gallons of water per month. So we
Thank you.
we are in favor of her.
Okay.
getting
all right,
the variance.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next.
Hello, my name is Jim Simonian, and I live at 12381 Carter Road, and I have been sworn in.
We might be able to hear you just
All
talking.
right. No, I like it. Good work.
And you're in favor?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I'll make this very short. When I first bought my property, I'm right on the Leroy line, halfway in between 86 and Vrooman. And my well was low flowing, super low, like 3/4 of a gallon per minute, and then it ran out before the end of the 30 minutes. And I had Friedeba and Ayers both involved, and they were drilling down the street, and they said, we can try to drill a new well, but we're hitting salt. And then they said, the best thing we can do is install either overflow tanks in the basement or a cistern. And I had no idea what that was. And they said, your neighbors on either side are low flowing, and they subsidize their water with Jess, who is right on the corner of 86. And here's her information, give her a call, and she can kind of tell you more about the area. So I did that, and Jess came out like immediately, like the same day, and filled me in and gave me hope. I spent a couple of years restoring this house and this property, and now I don't have water. And I never appreciated water until I didn't have it, or I didn't have clean water. So I've been a customer of Jess's for the last 2 years, and I am one of those customers who, on a Sunday night, my alarm goes off, and I text Jess, and she's like, I'll be there at 8 o'clock in the morning because I know you guys need water. So she's an asset, and she is an awesome resource.
Cool.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Next.
Good evening, George West and
Laurel West.
12299 Carter Road in Concord. We have been sworn in.
Yes.
And we've been at our residence for 48 years.
Cool.
We live directly in conjunction with the property that Jess and Cameron own, and we are blessed to have adequate water supply.
Before the highway was put in?
Pardon?
You lived there before the highway was put in?
No,
This well has been there since.
if we were there.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. We've been
What year did you move in?
75.
Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so anyhow, what we're trying to say is our well, we get good water. We don't have a lot of volume, but we have a large casing, so we're not in need of Jess's services. But we are in need of Jess and her company to service the area around us. They provide such a great service, honest, decent people, and if anybody's affected by their trucks, it's Jeannie and I. We go by Jeff and Jeannie, not George and Laurel. But anyhow, we're not offended at all by their trucks. We consider them wonderful people, good neighbors. Their trucks are hidden from view. They do a very good job of maintaining the property, and we're very thankful that they're there. So we highly approve what they're doing, and we pray that you'll grant this variance. Anything like that?
Yes, I'd like to make it clear that before they purchased the property, they came to us, and we'd never really met them. We knew they were on the corner, but they were younger, so we just didn't socialize. And Cameron came over and up our driveway and explained what their plans would be, that they would like to buy the property, asked if we wanted to buy the property, then they would back off. And we told them we'd had opportunity, the 48 years we'd been there, that we did not intend. But we really appreciated them coming and talking with us about their plans, and they've done so the whole time. They haven't made one move over there without saying, we're thinking of doing this. Do you have any suggestions? Do you have any issues? I'll tell you, you hardly even hear a backup beeper once in a while when they do have to back in. They're very respectful time-wise by the hours they go out. If they have to go out in the night, they pull back in. They don't back in if it's late and they've been out on a run. We're very blessed to have them in the neighborhood. The business, I've heard nothing but good. And we certainly back them being able to run this business next door to us. They're not an intrusion in the least. They've been very respectful of the land. The wildlife hasn't changed. We still have the deer running all over the place, the raccoons, the possum, skunks. You can have those. But they're very responsible with what they're doing, and we're behind them 100%. So.
Is this you right here?
That's my
Yes.
pond.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm just in the fall. Would the trucks be visible?
Not to us from
No.
where we are.
Okay.
There's a tree line, and we have a fence part of the way. But we have a fenced horse pasture that they're partially around back
Yeah,
there.
they're back behind our horse barn. I can see the tops of the trucks.
Okay.
No big deal.
All right. Okay. No, I think they run a great operation. I just didn't know if it was
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
you're thinking about it
they're
now
not
in
offensive
early
unless
fall
it's
and,
really spinning.
and not thinking about it when the leaves are
Yeah,
down.
we're-
But
Not
that's
at
okay.
all.
That's
Live and let live.
We're happy to have them as neighbors. Thank you.
No,
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Donna Lursick. I've been sworn in. I live at 12365 Carter Road. So I'm about 3 houses down from where Jess stores her vehicles. Sorry, I have a light voice.
Speak up just a little bit.
We moved there about 2 years ago. Our well still is working as long as there's enough rain. So Jess has saved us quite a few times, and once on a Sunday. So we were definitely blessed to have her and have her have the trucks right there with the water in it, so she could come bring us water. And I'm a longtime friend of hers. We went to school together. I know all she's been through, and she's just a stand-up person, her and Cameron, and they run a wonderful business.
Thank
You
very much.
live on the same side of the street as she, but further down?
I live on the opposite side, so the same side as the trucks are stored on.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Further east.
Yeah, the same side that the trucks are stored on.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, okay. All right. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak? All right.
Hi, my name is Tom Semino. I live at 6485 Rogers Road, and I have been sworn in. I built my house in 2000. I was 49 years old when I started it, and I had a house in Paynesville, and went to sell the house in Paynesville. Talked to the realtor. She says, "When are you going to be in?" And I said, "Probably July." And she says, "Well, that's good because your house is a starter house. You know, people who want to buy this kind of house, going to take a long time to, you know, get their finances in there. It'll take 9 months before the house is sold. You got to be good." I said, "Okay." Signed the papers. The house sold 2 days later. So we got the foundation being put in, and the well driller's drilling the well, and he's 145 feet deep, and he's bringing up dry shale. And I'm thinking, oh my God, the money I got for the house, I'm going to have to spend to fill the hole back in. And we're going to have living back down Geneva on the Lake in one of the little cottages again at 49 years old. So I was fortunate that found out that we're going to have water problems early on. So we still haven't put the floor over the foundation yet, or over foundation. So we were able to put 2 1,500-gallon tanks in my basement. You know, so I don't have them sitting in my garage. I don't have a 2-car garage. It's got 1 car parking because the other side has got tanks in it. Long story short, my well, Mr. Davis hooked up the well, and he said, this well is a low-yielding well. It puts out 1 quart a minute. He says, but as long as it's just you and your wife, we can hook up these tanks to it and get these tanks filled up, and you should be okay, you know. He says, but I got to warn you. He says, wells don't get better with age, you know.
All right, this is your well you're talking about.
My well, yes.
Okay, but you're in favor
Oh,
of her
absolutely,
operation.
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to be sure.
Wells don't get better with age. So,
Right.
on occasion, I've got a pipe in my garage that's hooked to the one of the 2 tanks so I can bring in water, you know. And I've had occasions to work with other people through delivering water, 2 or 3 other different companies. use the term lightly. One, his biggest pride that he was able to buy his truck from the Leroy Fire Department for $1,400. You know, so you can tell that he's not a up and up business. You know, then I saw Jess's trucks and got the number, called her, and I've got to tell you, it's a class out. It's a class outfit. You guys know that.
Yep.
It's a class
Mhm.
outfit. They got great equipment. 3 of the 4 trucks are Fords, so that's good. Personal people. If you go by their house, and the house is immaculate all the time, and I have no doubts that the other property will be kept the same way.
Okay. So you're in favor of the...
Absolutely in
Okay.
favor
All right.
of.
All
Absolutely in
right,
favor.
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? All right, we'll get to you in the back row there. All right. All right, raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. If so, say I do.
I do.
All right, please state your name and your address.
My name is Tony Cussman. Address is 7394 Cascade Road.
And I'm his wife, Meredith Cussman. Same address, 7394 Cascade Road.
Okay, great. And you're speaking in favor of the variance?
We're for the variance, yeah.
Okay, great.
So we're on the corner of Girdle and Cascade. About 6 years ago, we have a well, of course, as most of the people do in that area. So about 6 years ago, our well, essentially, it was low producing, you know, prior to that, but then essentially we had to cap it off because it wasn't producing anything at all. So basically, the only recourse we had after doing a lot of research, talking to people, was to acquire the property that was adjacent to the initial property that we bought from our neighbors. So we purchased the property from our neighbors, and we had a cistern installed in order to get water to operate our house. And,
But can I interject?
Sure.
But prior to that, before we could get the property, we had a 1,500 gallon tank in our front yard because we weren't able to get a cistern in. So Friedeba, who had brought the temporary tank, they recommended Jess to come deliver the water. So that tank only would last us about 2 weeks. So and we had to keep it full, especially in the winter, because we went over 2 winters with this in our front yard because we weren't able to yet install the cistern because we didn't have the property to do so. So we had to keep it full all the time. So we depended on her every week and a half at the very least to get her to deliver us water so we could shower, flush our toilets, drink, everything. So we just wanted to say that she is an asset and something that we really need, and we're definitely inspired.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, back row. Thank you for being patient.
Absolutely.
And we all already know that you're in favor.
I'm in favor. My name is
Okay.
Craig Healy. I live at 5700 Vrooman Road. I was sworn in the beginning. And I have a long history in plumbing, pipe fitting, and master plumber license since 1991. Worked on well plumbing, all kinds of cisterns, such and so forth. I moved to this area in 2019. And I looked at the property that they moved to. I was actually looking at buying that. I bid on a couple properties in the area, one on Carter Road that has a really nice pond in the back, just down the road from them. I got outbid on multiple properties, but I ended up buying my property in 5700 Vrooman Road. It's one of the oldest properties in Lake County. And Friedeba did the plumbing. I have a cistern on my property, so they're my domestic water supplier. So they're my public utility for water supply. I order water once a month. Without JCE, I would not have water. I would not have domestic water supply to my property. So I'm in favor of them. I'm also on a National Legionella Committee for domestic water supply for the United States of America and Ohio. I work for the federal government. And I watch what they do. I watch how they supply the water supply. They chlorinate their tanks before they deliver it. They do everything properly. They're very professional. So I'm much in favor of them being the #1 supplier in this county for domestic water. They do everything proper, and it's a very professional company.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much. All right, we're getting towards the end here. Come on up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Sophie Verbantic Walters. I live at 12313 Painesville Warren Road. I have been duly sworn in, and I live right next door to Jessica and Cameron. I am their next door neighbor. We're about 20 feet apart. And just to give you, first of all, I'm very much in favor of their of being here. Just to say quickly, my family has lived in Concord Township since 1915. My dad was born here in 1920, and for what it's worth, he was Citizen of the Year in 1984, so our heart is in Concord Township, and I love it. I have lived in my house, which my parents built in 1956. I have lived there all my life. I've inherited it since they've passed. And I will say, honestly, if it weren't for Jessica and Cameron and their company, I would not be able to stay there, because we have a very shallow well. And we have a 4,000-gallon in-ground cistern, which when it rains and we have rain, that's great. It doesn't rain all the time. We've had some wicked droughts, and thank God for Cameron and Jessica. They're good neighbors. They're good people. And when I need water and I call Jess at 11 o'clock at night, Jessica has happened earlier, she literally ran a hose across her backyard and helped me get water at 11 o'clock at night. And I know she was tired, and she did this because they are good people and they are good neighbors. And my dad lived his life by one very important ethos, and that is you help your neighbors. You support your neighbors. It's local. This is where we live. This is our home. And when we are so fortunate and blessed to get people like this in our community, we want them to stay, because my dad would look at them and he would be so impressed and amazed that we are so lucky to have these people here. And I want them to stay as our water company, and I want them to stay as our neighbors and as citizens of Concord. Thank you.
Very good. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much.
How long can you go in 4,000-gallon cistern? I have no idea how long
Surprisingly, because we take Navy showers, we have to be very frugal with our water and very careful. We do have a well. We have 2 gallons a minute. The grandfather of the current Mr. Friederbaugh actually drilled it in 1957, and even back then, before the earthquake, it was bad. It was very bad. It's not good. So fortunately, Mr. Friederbaugh had back then advised my dad to put this cistern in, and thank God, because that's my ace in the hole. But we have to be real frugal. But thanks to Jessica and Cameron and knowing they're right there, we can make it work.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If there are no further comments, which I don't believe there are, we'll close the public hearing. All right, any discussion?
So I apologize. Is this where we make some comments and ask for some
If you want.
conditions?
If you want, yeah.
Okay.
This is where we discuss.
Thank
You don't have to.
I understand. So no, I want to be clear that there's not mechanical work being done back here and things like that. I guess the Wests are obviously good neighbors, and we all want to keep that, right? So I guess that would be the only condition that no mechanical work be done on the property, on the site. Is that reasonable? Is that
Well, I don't know. Do you want to talk about that now?
Isn't this a discussion?
Well, yeah, but there are a couple other. I mean, before, because I want to add that to the.
Okay,
to the,
so that's what I'm trying to get at or ask.
I had one question about the Jacobs property, Mr. Markowitz.
Yes.
Just address that briefly. Did you speak with him? Is there any comment? I assume he got notice.
They got no. You send the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they're supporters.
My bad.
Yeah, that's okay.
We're good.
We gave you a lot of
confirm that.
Health issues, they can't.
Okay, fine. Just wanted to cover that because that's a big chunk of land. All right, sorry to interrupt.
Okay, so I guess that was my only concern is, that there isn't mechanical work being done, dropping transmissions or changing engines, things like that.
Yeah, we can add any modification
We're
you
not
want.
that talented, it goes to mechanics.
Okay. And then also any kind of abandoned vehicle or anything like that. So other than that, I used to live in Leroy. I think you helped me out once or twice, so I understand how important you are, and you do run a great operation. So those are the only kind of considerations or concerns
Yeah.
I had.
And actually, I think Mr. Markowitz suggested that we modify the variance to include the conditions of not more than 4 water trucks.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And only employee vehicles.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
Do I hear that correctly? Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. And then
So
you want to add one other?
Yeah, I said no mechanical work to be done on the site.
Okay.
And no abandoned vehicles, but there's actually a code for that. Anyway.
Yeah,
So,
I think.
all right.
Yeah. So no mechanical.
Was there any code for mechanical?
What would be the right term for that? No.
No junk.
So to answer,
That's a given.
so I've been sworn in.
Yeah.
TR was asking about whether there was a resolution regarding doing mechanical work in an
Yeah.
R4 district.
I mean, if it's already covered in an
Yeah,
existing
no,
code,
I
we
would
don't-
say
I
it's
don't
not.
need
I
this.
mean, we have some.
Okay, so
Yeah, they would have to come back
so
for
mechanical. I
Yeah.
can put it-
All right, we'll hold off on that.
No, I would
add
recommend if you were
mechanical.
concerned about
okay,
that.
we are going to add mechanical.
Yes.
So no mechanical work as well.
Correct.
Okay.
And just to clarify that, you're talking about on the vehicles that are going to be parked here. No mechanical
Are
work
we?
being done to the vehicles that are parked there. Is
Correct.
that what you're
Okay.
asking? Just so everyone is clear on what
No vehicle
what you're
maintenance
suggesting.
on the property.
A clarification. I can't. Sorry.
I got a question. I do have a question on that. If I can.
All right, well, hold on one second. The public hearing is closed.
So mechanical work. I understand what you're saying of loud noise, mechanical work, having an engine pulled apart, but cleaning the tanks, is that considered mechanical
I
work?
would say no. I would say that's part of the operation
Okay.
of delivering
Simply doing an oil change because they're capable of doing oil change, which most people who are capable of will do that in their
water.
driveway.
My opinion, I would say no, because the oil has to be disposed of properly and should be done somewhere else,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Okay. As long as the applicant understands what we mean by that.
And well, do you guys want to weigh in on oil changes?
I don't know that we should get into the weeds on it. I really don't. I don't think.
Legal counsel, a very broad term of understanding where we're coming from of asking of no mechanical work done on the vehicles versus that is an extraordinarily broad term. Is there a better way to phrase it?
I can't think of one. I mean, you're right when you say it was vehicle repair. That is a pretty.
Well, that's maintenance. So I don't know. Is there a difference? I don't know. We're obviously going in a direction. We're just trying to figure out some language. I
Heavy
think.
duty mechanical?
I don't know that we should create problems where there are none.
Do you have any thoughts, Heather? Because you have to enforce it. So
Well, I don't know how to
I think
enforce
your
mechanical
concern
work.
is that maybe a truck would break down and they'd be like taking out a transmission
Exactly.
in the parking lot, and that sounds like what you're trying to
that's,
prevent.
yep.
So, I mean,
I think she's already stated for the record that she takes it to a shop and has it towed, has it fixed there. So
I guess if you were going to add a condition, then maybe you would want to say some kind of major repairs.
Major
to
repairs
trucks.
need to be.
Okay.
I don't
Major
know.
mechanical.
short of getting a flat or jumping it, she's
Right.
going to take it to
I
a
would
shop.
agree. Okay.
Do they fix RVs?
I'm here all weekend. Try the veal.
And I know that the time has been closed. I'm just my brain can't let go of this. What do you do in the winter? Does it not freeze?
Yeah, it freezes. I can show you pictures. I have a heat gun.
Why don't after the hearing?
Yes.
you can have
We'll
discussion.
continue that some other time.
All right.
And I also want to be sure that on the lines of that there aren't any plans to maybe build a structure there to house the trucks, which actually I'd prefer, but is that something that we need to restrict?
Or is that just a new
Or
variance?
is that just the variance just to build a structure? I mean, it's over 2 acres. It can be 10, 24 square feet.
Don't you still have to
I don't
ask
see
to build
any
a structure?
issue like that in front of me.
Keep the trucks warm.
Yes.
Don't you
it's
have to
not,
ask
it's not,
to build a
we're not
structure?
voting
Yeah,
on
we're
that
not on
tonight.
that though, but,
So,
yeah, so
if
right
that's
now,
something
we're just looking at, particularly if the, can we allow her to park the trucks next to the interstate where there's no water on an unbuildable lot where everybody approves of it and we can't see it? So that's kind of what we're looking at as far as will the variance preserve the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution, and will substantial justice be done by granting the variance? I guess that's the big question that we have to answer.
Well, I
think
that, and the burden of proof, as Mr. Markowitz indicated and availed himself of, is even greater than what it would be to include the Duncan factors. And I think the applicant has proven that by a clear margin. So I don't even think we need to, I mean, we can address the Duncan factors, but I think they pale in comparison.
Right, I agree.
Mr. Chairman, it wouldn't be the Duncan factors. This would be
Right.
the unnecessary hardship. They would need to prove to you that
Exactly.
there's no other use
Isn't that what you just said, Duncan
permitted or
factors?
conditionally permitted in the R4 district.
Right.
I didn't say the
property
word
could be
Duncan
used.
factor.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, so we're good.
I was reading from the Duncan factors.
Okay.
But Mr. Golding, if
They
you
were
don't
there
mind,
somewhere.
just to
Please.
clarify, in their request, they were also asking to keep the shed there on the property.
Right.
So the variance is also specific to allowing them to have
Correct.
the shed.
4 trucks, 4 employees, and a shed.
Correct.
Employee cars, I'm sorry, not
All
employees.
right, and we'll address those.
Gotcha.
And major mechanical repairs happen at a shop.
Right, and this is all one variance that includes
With
4
conditional
vehicles
uses. It's-
with the conditional
Yeah.
conditions. Okay, and I'll get to that. Any other discussion?
Nope.
By anybody?
Nope.
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to approve the variance with conditions.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right. So here is what's up for vote. This is the variance, application 2023-134, to allow 4 vehicles for potable water, an existing storage shed, and water tanks. And also the employee parking for 4 vehicles. All right, just so we all understand that. In addition to that, we are adding the conditions to the variance such that not more than 4 water trucks will be allowed to be stored on the property. Only employee vehicles, of which those are being limited to 4, I believe, right, will be allowed. And
The shed.
the existing shed. And then are we addressing the,
Major mechanical work.
and no major mechanical work to be done on the property? I think that the applicant knows what that involves, and I don't think that'll be an issue.
Sounds good.
So that is what we're voting on. And if there's no further issues.
Yes is saying good, no
Yeah,
is saying
yeah.
no.
The yes is to grant the variance and no is to deny the variance. Heather, you want to take a roll?
Sure. Mr. Golding,
Yes.
Ms. Garkar,
Yes.
Mr. Hack,
Yes.
and Mr. Sweeney.
Yes. Congratulations, thank you. Thank you for coming in, thank for all of you for your comments. All right, we are on to our next variance application, and that is,
You want to give him a minute to?
Wait,
Yeah, sure.
and let everyone.
To summon Brandon back.
Yeah, we have to get Brandon too, yeah.
Oh, yeah, get Brandon back.
Adjourn for a minute.
Do you want to adjourn for a minute?
Adjourn for a minute.
Take a break?
Adjourn.
Adjourn.
Yeah. Mike's down. Just, okay. All right. We are back on, and we are moving on to our second new business variance of the evening, number 2023-135. Michael and Laura Camerari are requesting a variance from section 15.04A2D to allow an existing shed to be located with a front building setback of 33 feet in lieu of the minimum 50 feet required for corner lots. A second variance is requested from section 29.10B4 to allow a utility trailer to be parked with a setback of 33 feet in lieu of the 50-foot required. This is for property located at 7503 Blue Ridge Drive, parcel number 10-A-025-D-00-031-0. Come on up.
Hello, my name is Mike Camerari. I live at 7503 Blue Ridge Drive, and I have been sworn in.
Okay. Go ahead.
We are asking for the variance for the shed and the trailer to be with the setback of 33 feet. Basically, that's right in line with our garage that's attached to the house, and just to have one plane across there, just to keep everything simple, keep the ease of use to the shed, to the garage, or I'm sorry, to the driveway, and to keep the shed off of the patio that we have in the backyard, right behind where the shed is located now. The trailer will be parked between the shed and where the garage is located, right in the small little section there. That will be gravelled as well, to have that all parked on there as well. And like I said, we're just asking for that. Otherwise, if we move the shed back and the trailer back, that actually impedes the view from our lower living room, because we live in a split level, the view out of that, because it would be blocking that area there. So we're asking for that variance, and that's about it.
And this is a corner lot?
That's correct, yes.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
The trailer,
Yes.
RV trailer.
Yes.
How often is it there?
First of all, it's not an RV trailer, it's just a utility trailer, just a box trailer, 16
Okay.
foot.
Okay.
Just a small trailer, tandem
Okay.
axle. It is there all the time.
Do you use it for work or?
It's for a part-time job that I have. I take it out 2 to 3 nights a week. I cut a couple lawns, and I put it back at night. So
Was it on your property today
it was
around
not
2 o'clock?
It was not.
Okay, it's my running path.
I do.
and I
Okay.
did not see
I
it.
do have a picture of how it does look, as it would this morning.
Okay,
Or I'm sorry, this evening. Thanks.
so it was there this morning.
I'm sorry.
It was
this
there this-
evening. It was not this morning.
Okay.
You should run more.
So
I've never
when
seen
you
it in
ran
all
this
my
morning,
runs.
it wasn't there,
No, I
but this
ran around-
picture taken
no,
this
no, no.
evening, it is there.
No,
Right.
I ran
So what
1
it
to
is,
2 o'clock today.
Okay.
Like in the middle of the day, I ran,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
it was not there.
Correct.
So I'm not crazy. I did not see a
Okay.
trailer.
And that picture was taken today?
Correct. This evening,
Okay.
right before I came here.
Okay.
So.
Wow.
Yeah. So what it is, my full-time job. I work for the city of Mentor. I took the trailer with me to cut a couple lawns after work. After work, I put it right back where it's at. So occasionally I'll park it on the driveway because I just take it out the next morning. So
How long have you been doing that with the trailer?
that particular trailer, 2 years. I had a small open air trailer that was on the property before, but that trailer's been moved off the property and will not be coming back.
How do your neighbors feel about it?
I hope okay.
Do you have neighbors here?
Are they here?
There's two
Okay,
neighbors.
all right, okay. A lot of times people add a letter or something in here, we'll get an email. I just want to.
It's no problem.
Well, you'll have
haven't
a
been
chance to
sworn.
speak. But yeah, okay.
Val, I think this might be a Heather question though. How was this brought up? Was this a complaint? Was this a drive-by? What was this?
This was a complaint received
Okay.
by somebody probably in the neighborhood. It was an anonymous complaint.
And you told him right away, and he filed for a variance. There was not really. What was that transaction like?
Right, yeah, there was 2 trailers at the time that he had, the open one that he referred to, and so my letter addressed both the trailers, and then upon me looking at some things, I realized that the shed had also been moved to this location and therefore not in compliance.
Okay.
So then I gave them information regarding how to apply for a variance, and that is the route they decided to go for.
Okay. So very responsive of
Yeah.
the complaint right away. Okay.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity, is there any place, I'm presuming you don't have anywhere else to store the shed, that's why it's at your house, or the trailer, I'm sorry.
The
not
trailer,
shed.
yeah, correct, because like the easy access off the driveway right there is basically ideal. Instead of having to pave or being on the corner lot, we're kind of limited on where we can put that. So that was, to me, that was the best spot, kind of like I said, tucked in between the garage and the shed itself. So kind of minimize the impact on everything.
I will state until this came in our email, running past it a few times a week, I had no idea there was ever a trailer there. I was a little confused of what we were doing at first.
Any other questions from the board? Here?
Well, we have certain factors we have to consider, right? We call these the Duncan factors and things, and the hardship and other. Can you tell us a little bit more, just so we have an appropriate record of this, what the hardship is to you if you had to move the shed, or if you had to move the trailer away from there, or give us a little bit more information on that?
Hardship wise, like I said, it would definitely obstruct the view of our downstairs living room. We'd be looking at the other side of the shed or side of the trailer, which looking out there, it kind of gives us a view of our backyard, which is nice. And also we do a lot of entertaining on our back patio right there that's concrete. So if we move that back the 17 feet off of the line, it would just take away that entertaining area there. So that, like I said, it's probably more of a convenience factor. And just like I said, everything is real close right to the driveway, kind of easy access right there as well. So,
You ever consider relocating it on the properties elsewhere?
the shed or
The shed?
the shed. Well, the shed originally was against the house on that concrete pad that's right behind the house, but that caused water issues because the water would come down off of the roof right down the foundation of the house and would actually gave us water damage along the side. So we moved it from there originally to the back corner of the house, which we did get a permit for, and that was back corner of the property. And it was just lugging everything back and forth from the driveway back and forth to the driveway, just very inconvenient. So we did move it back closer to the house. Away from the house wouldn't cause any foundation issues and water issues like that, so we moved it back up there.
And where on the site plan was the shed before you moved it back to where it was?
So before we moved it back, it was actually back here.
Yeah, okay.
Back by the trees?
Correct.
Right, like right around yonder?
Yep, back in the section here, correct.
And had you not, if you didn't live on a corner lot, what would the setback have been?
If it's on a quarter lot, what's the setback?
Well, it's a minimum 50 foot from the road right away, from the front lot line. Just on a corner lot, you have two front lot lines,
All right,
because
so
you
it
have
doesn't
two
come
public
that way.
right of ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, any other questions?
Talking along the lines of hardship, if you move the shed back to that corner, which it was before you moved it here,
Yes.
what about the trailer? What are there options? What are hardships of those options?
It would I would imagine it'd have to go right up the driveway because adding another driveway to the back of the property would just not be, I don't see how that could happen all between the ditch line that runs there. It'd be nearly impossible, I would think,
Okay.
to move that trailer back. If the trailer would move back by where the shed was, if the shed was to be there to keep those together, that'd be like I said, probably nearly impossible.
Because do you use the trailer all year round? Winter?
Winter, I do not.
Does it stay there all winter?
It would stay there in the winter, yes. I mean, if possible, if we could put maybe a gate to disguise that from the street, if that's something that's possible.
Still a setback issue.
Any other questions? All right, if not, is there anyone speaking for or against this variance? Come on up. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Bob Pestak. I live at 9772 Andrea Drive, and I've been sworn in. My driveway is directly across from Mike's driveway. Okay. If what we're talking about, we look out our front door, we can see that all the time. It's not a problem.
Okay.
So,
right here. Or there, yeah.
okay, I'm directly across the street.
Yeah, okay, all right.
His,
Dad talking.
being a corner lot, I mean, I can see problems for him. You can't hide anything. Everything is wide open.
Yeah.
And the way he's got it set up now, it looks okay, it looks good, and I have no problem with it.
The shed convenience the trailer.
Mike, I've known him and Laura for about 12 years when they moved in. I've been there since '91, and they're tremendous neighbors, great family people. Love to have them in the neighborhood, and if they're happy there, I'm happy there, so I'm all for it, no problem.
Great, all right, okay, thank you. Anyone else?
That's the Heather question.
Jim Rowe, 9766 Andrea Drive, and I have been sworn in. I've lived in the house in 1973, so 50 years, with 4 owners at least, or what, or 5. Various treatments of various things and so forth. This one, no problem. I mean, there's a tree that in the summer months kind of breaks up the view. I mean, actually in my house, I'd have to walk down the driveway to get around my trees to take a look at what is not a problem. I mean, it sits there, it makes sense kind of with the shed, certainly screens the trailer. Would be a hardship if you push it back and you start shutting off windows in the house. I don't think that is very viable. But I say it's kept up. It's goes fine. I mean, it's like Bob looks at it, I look at it, and not much else. I mean, that's just. I think it's certainly worth considering granting the variance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Rowe, is it true that you were Concord Township Citizen of the Year?
Congratulations.
You're under oath, Mr. Rowe.
Guilty as charged.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Rowe.
All right, anyone else? All right. If not, we will close public hearing. And I will entertain a motion to approve this variance.
Discussion? Discussion.
Oh, discussion, sorry.
I find it interesting that I'm always looked at first. So I guess I'll start for whatever reason. I don't know how I've obtained that.
Got a suit on.
Even when Mr. Rowe was on this learned and esteemed panel. But nonetheless, I guess quite honestly, I appreciate the corner lot. The relevance of that is sometimes here or there, I guess. To be quite frank and quite honest, I was interested to hear from Mr. Rowe and the other neighbor because, in all reality, I don't find this to be a hardship, to be honest with you. I don't think it meets the Duncan factors as you go through them. The trailer could go to another place somewhere else. The shed could move back. However, we do a job up here oftentimes of trying to be helpful to our residents and trying to find ways to make things work for them. So in spite of the fact that, quite frankly, if we go through the factors, which I think we have an obligation to do that in any public session and open forum where we're discussing this, will the property yield a reasonable return or can there be a beneficial use of the property without the variance? The answer to that is yes. Is the variance substantial? It's arguable, perhaps not. 17 feet isn't, I don't think, too terribly substantial given the circumstances of the lot. Will the essential character of the neighborhood be substantially altered, or will adjoining properties suffer a substantial detriment if it's granted? I think that's no. Will the variance adversely affect delivery of governmental services? Sorry. The answer to that would be no. Did he purchase it with knowledge of the restrictions? We presume that he did. We presume that almost everybody did because that obligation falls upon them. Could it be resolved by some manner other than granting the variance? Yes. Will the variance preserve the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution? Will substantial justice be done by granting the variance? Well, I guess that's up for debate. So I think it's incumbent upon us to consider those factors. I would say that I don't know that it meets all of them, it meets some of them, and I think it bears our consideration, but I probably would think that it's not a terrible thing given the testimony of the other neighbors. So since you looked at me, I'm trying to be succinct, but I think that we do have an obligation to go through those factors as we look at these. And I think we also have to be mindful that there are 2 variances being requested here. We have to take each of them separately, so let's not forget that.
So the complaint was a random person came by and said, I see a shed and a trailer, and I don't like it.
I think it was just the trailer.
Oh, the trailer. So
Heather
if we,
found a shed.
so that's a 16-foot trailer?
Correct.
So if I take that trailer and then push it back one whole trailer length, I'm still gonna see the trailer. And then he can't see out his windows. So, I mean, I just don't see where forcing him to move it back, well, I'm talking about the trailer and the shed. If we push the trailer and the shed back 17 feet, it's still gonna be there. And he has the unfortunate fishbowl corner lot issue to deal with. That doesn't go away.
And it doesn't have to go there on the site.
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying that one proposal was there. But the other option is that, you know, that the shed could go back into the back of the yard. Granted, you gotta hoof it back there in the winter, it's not fun. And then the trailer's gotta go somewhere else, maybe 17 foot back, but we would run into the issue again. So if the original complaint was, I don't like a shed there, and I don't like the trailer, then.
My only thought is, and I understand the neighbors were here, but you know, I don't know if you can either add a tree or some arborvitae to block it off from the road a little bit more. That would be my only, you know, some screening. But you know, I mean, we can kind of go through those factors, and you know, it's not substantial, and there is some reasonableness to working with you. But that would be my only thought. I don't know how y'all feel about that.
In one of the pictures, are there bushes next to the shed?
Yes, there's ornamental grasses, yes.
Okay. Yes.
So ornamental grasses could be, you know, some kind of bed.
I think they're already there.
They are
These
No,
like
not in this
brown
picture.
dots next to the shed.
I know, I'm talking about by the tree at the road.
So
Oh, you're saying over here.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if that's reasonable, if you all agree with that, or. And those grasses grow, they're cheap and they can grow pretty big.
I don't think it'll make that much of a difference, to be honest with you.
Thanks a lot.
It'd make a
But
difference for a few
UTR,
feet.
I think it'd look beautiful. It would improve the
Okay.
value of the house immensely.
Just a thought.
All right, any other discussion? All right, the question on approval for variance number 2023-135. A yes vote is for the approval of the variance and a no vote denies the variance. Heather, you want to call the vote?
We need a,
Hold on,
no,
we
wait,
gotta-
we need a
gotta
motion
take
and
them
a
one at a
second.
time.
I thought I did
There's
that
two.
already.
There's two.
No one
Okay.
motioned or second.
All right,
And there's two.
all right. I will entertain a motion to approve variance number 2023-134.
No.
That's Edwards.
I'm sorry, 2023-135. Are they, do you want to vote on each one?
You have to.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to approve the variance 2023-135, section 15.04A2D to allow an existing shed to be located with a front building setback of 33 feet in lieu of the minimum 50 feet required for corner lots.
So
Okay.
moved.
Second.
Second. All right, Heather?
All right, Mr. Dines,
Yes.
Ms. Garkar,
Yes.
Mr. Hack,
Yes.
Mr. Goling,
Yes.
and Mr. Sweeney.
Yes. And that has passed. And now I will entertain a motion to approve variance application 2023-135 for a variance from section 29.10B4 to allow a utility trailer to be parked with a setback of 33 feet in lieu of the minimum 50 feet required.
Motion.
I would only say, I don't know if Mr. Hack, if this is applicable to what you want, if you want to make a motion, in essence, talking about some of the shrubbery or something else, I think this is probably the one that it would apply to more than the shed, but that's, I'm just.
Todd shut that down.
Well,
He can
I'm
still
just
do it.
offering him.
He can still do it.
I don't think it'd be too much trouble to throw some ornamental grasses. You could probably split the ones by the shed and plant them if that's, and I don't think it's unreasonable or.
I like arborvitae. I mean, it's a good
You know,
idea.
the snows knock them down, and it's,
And for clarification, this is for at the edge of the driveway extension by the tree, is what he's
Well,
referring to.
I guess I was just simply suggesting if Mr. Hack or someone wants to make a motion, we could then specify that within that motion in consideration of the second variance. But that, whether you want to or not, you brought it up.
I would
just wanted
like
to give you the
to, yeah.
opportunity.
I'm not in favor of the additional condition.
Well, that would be a vote upon the motion once it's made.
Don't we have to approve the?
No, we can talk about it though. We can talk about it.
Can we deny
All right.
I'll revoke it. It doesn't matter. I mean, I don't say it doesn't matter, but let's move on. It apparently isn't an issue for the four of you, so, or at least three of you.
At least two of us. All right.
So
Based
I'll make
upon
a
your
motion.
reading of the second variance, I'll make that motion.
Then I will
Second.
second. Oh, okay.
All right, Heather, take a vote.
Mr. Goling,
Yes.
Mr. Dines,
Yes.
Ms. Garkar,
Yes.
Mr. Hack,
Yes.
and Mr. Sweeney.
Yes. And that has passed, so congratulations. Thank you for coming.
No grass.
All right, let's move on to variance application 2023-136.
That's a good idea.
Mr. Andrew Bush and Tara Hamilton are requesting a variance from section 1503A6, table 15.03-1 to allow for the construction of a 2,400 square foot accessory building in lieu of the maximum size of 1,532 square feet. This is for the property located at 8360 Ravenna Road, parcel number 08A001A-00-008-0. Hi.
Hello, my name is
Okay.
Andrew Bush. I live at 8360 Ravenna Road in Concord Township, and I have been sworn in.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, the variance I'm going for is a larger storage building in my backyard. The allowed limit is 1,500 square feet, and I am going for 2,400.
All right. And where would this be located?
It would be near the rear of the property, approximately 400 feet back from the road. I know that 50 foot is required, and I am going above and beyond to put it further back to make it less visible for everyone.
And you're on a 5.75 acre lot?
Correct.
Okay.
Oh, I see it.
And are these all your vehicles?
Yes, those are pictures of the vehicles and the boat that I have that I plan on storing in the building.
Impressive.
Thank you.
Are the vehicles currently on the property?
A couple of the vehicles are in the garage, but the boat is not, and all the vehicles are not, no.
All right, so the building proposed is pictured here,
Correct.
and that's an even 2,400 square feet?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you determined that this is the amount of space that will suit your need, that you need?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And
I currently am renting 2 buildings to store the boat and other cars, and as everybody knows, everything is getting much more expensive now, so the rent is dramatically increased. So I had purchased this property approximately 13 years ago with the intentions of putting up a building like this to store my vehicles and items.
Okay. You spoken to your neighbors about this?
Yes, I have.
Are they in agreement?
Yes, and unfortunately, the neighbors on the south side are recently passed, so they're not able to be here.
Oh,
for
sorry to hear
anything.
that.
I mean, they were okay with it, you know, but and my other neighbor is, yes, she's actually here. This evening.
Okay. And you live north, south? Okay. I'm just clarifying.
We can't take testimony from the audience.
Well, I don't think she'd lie about where she lives. All right.
She's on the north side, yes.
Okay.
We can't.
All right, well,
We can't.
we'll wait till you get up here.
We can't.
All right, I don't have anything further. Do you have anything further?
I do have questions.
All right.
All right, so let me understand. 5 acres.
Yes,
and,
sir.
and the variance is approximately 834 square feet.
Correct.
Or that you're seeking. Okay. Thank you.
And like I've recently said, I moved it much further back than required to make it appear smaller. So less visible for myself and anyone else.
Got a lot of land to work with there.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Yeah.
No, did you want an opportunity to speak?
Yeah, well, let's get him finished first.
Okay.
And, okay, so, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
Now we come. Is anyone speaking
She's been sworn in.
for, okay,
99% sure.
all right. All right, please state your name and I'll swear you in.
Shireen Ankuda, 8340 Painesville, Ravina Road, Concord Township.
All right, raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? If so, say I do.
I do.
All right, thank you. And you're speaking for or against?
For.
Okay.
I figure I'm one of the most important people because I'm right next door.
And you are, now that I can ask her this, you live north?
I'm the property directly north of Andrews.
All right, gotcha.
There's no houses in between us.
And your acreage, not that it matters, is
It's
about the same?
Yeah, about 6 acres.
It helps us with the squares.
Right, yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah, because there's a series that used to be all agricultural. And we all have the same size. There's like 6 of us.
You can almost even see it in the lines.
Right. So Andrew, as he said, he's lived there for 13 years. He's been an excellent neighbor. Where he's putting it is, you know, I don't see anybody, because there's no houses across the street. There's the big
Right.
mound that was made for the Briarwood people. And then, as he said, you know, the neighbors directly south to him have been elderly and have recently passed. Their son and daughter have been running that property.
Right.
So Andrew and I talked, because I said before the meeting, let's talk. And I told him my only concern was I didn't want 400 feet of electrical wires going from the road along my property line to the building.
Mhm.
You know, if it was buried, fine, but so that is my only concern. Because like I said, he's a courteous neighbor. We try to be courteous to each other.
All right, now you're aware that's not before us, that issue of electrical lines, that's not even something that we
Can't
have been asked to decide on or
Right,
even
'cause
consider.
at
So
this
you-
point, he's
you
not-
understand?
There's been no intentions of electrical for the
Okay.
storage, and if there was, it would be underground.
Right.
Absolutely.
I just want her to understand that when we rule on it, it doesn't mean that you're gonna, if we do rule on it in your favor, that it's going to be,
Under wire.
that.
Yeah,
we
and
don't
that's
have
what,
any
and
say
that's
over
what
that.
I assumed, and that's what Andrew and I talked about.
Well, I could, but it isn't. All right. Anything else?
No, really, that was the only concern. As I said, we've been there since '76, and he's been there 13 years, and yeah, he's been an asset to our little community.
Great. All right. Thank you very much. What was it like back in '76? A bit less traffic on Ravenna Road, huh?
We could ride our horses on the Ravenna.
I know.
Yeah.
When I moved in 2004, there was a lot less traffic on Ravenna Road.
Now you have people going 89
A lot
miles
less.
an hour. It's insane.
Yeah.
Can't even ride a bike.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. Oh, now you want to. All right, anybody else speaking for or against? All right, if not, I will close the public hearing and open for discussion.
I have a question.
Yes.
Am I reading zoning correctly that because it is above 2 acres, he's allowed under the, whatever the math was, 1,400 square foot, he's allowed as many buildings as he wants?
Correct.
As long as it's under
1,532 square
Okay.
feet, but there's no maximum number of individual 1,532 square feet buildings he could build.
So when if he goes to build a third building
Mhm.
that is under the current maximum, are there permits or anything that we would have to approve of for additional buildings? The fact that this one is so much larger.
That would just be a zoning permit submitted to my office, and it would comply with zoning, and I would approve it.
Okay.
Unless there was some condition on your guys' approval restricting that moving forward.
Yeah, because the neighbor just north of the
Public search is closed.
All right, public hearing is closed. We can't have any further comment.
Sorry.
So, anything else?
Well, just real quick, let's do our job here quickly. The idea is he could build multiple buildings, and in the past, as this board has seen these come before us, because of the size of the lot, he could build 3 or 4 buildings. He's proposing to do 1, probably less of an eyesore. He's requesting a variance of approximately 800 square feet, whatever it is. Probably not horrible. Again, we're incumbent, and I think we've all been to the seminars and everything else to understand we must consider the Duncan factors. I will not read through all of them. I think this board has considered all of them in its totality. Personally, in considering all 7 factors, I would be in favor of it.
Anything else? All right. So, I will entertain a motion to approve variance 2023-136.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. So what's up for vote is approval or denial of variance application 2023-136. A 3-vote majority is necessary. A yes is to approve the variance and a no is to deny it. Heather?
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Ms. Garkar?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Mr. Goley?
Yes.
And Mr. Sweeney?
Yes. All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming down. Good luck. That's a nice boat.
Thank you.
All right, and for our final variance of this evening, we have variance application 2023-137. Andrew and Sarah Salonen are requesting a variance from section 15.04B, table 15.04-1, site development standards to allow a shed to have a 0-foot setback from the side property line in lieu of the minimum 10-foot required. This is for the property located at 11251 Girdled Road, parcel number 08-A-0-12-0-00-043-0. Good evening.
My name's Andrew Salonen. I live at 11251 Girdled Road, Concord Township, and I've been sworn in. So as you stated, I'm asking for a variance to put my shed along the property line, or at least the rear wall of my shed along the property line. It'll also complete the privacy fencing that is along that western side of the home. The location of it is the lowest location and flattest on the property. I'm also a corner lot, kind of limits the locations that I can put the shed based off of the 50-foot setback as it is. Any closer towards the house to be in compliance significantly increases the kind of the pitch of the backyard, and I think overall aesthetic of the property would be kind of significantly hindered by moving it any closer to the home. My neighbor Sharon, who is next door, and I share the property line with, is absolutely in favor. She provided a letter approving of the location.
Right. Okay, and this photo right here, which I think says it all.
That's correct. Yep.
The shed will butt up against the two ends of the fence.
Correct.
Flush with it, obviously.
Yep, it'll complete the fence. The back
line.
wall will complete the fence. Correct.
Okay. And the design will match your houses?
Yeah, I provided an example of what roughly it's going to look like, but it's going to match the home. So it'll be white, same type of roofing material, cedar shutters. I spent 20 years in the military. I just retired, moved back here. I was originally from Fairport, my wife and I both. I would say that something that the military instilled in me was I always leave something better than I found it, and I certainly have a lot of pride in my ownership and always try to make things better all around. So
thank you for your service.
Absolutely. So that's my intent with the shed is it's ultimately looking.
And this is the obvious question: Did you consider locating it 10 feet from the property line? And if so, why did you decide not to?
Yeah, so kind of as I previously had mentioned, as you get just even feet closer towards the property line, the backyard slopes significantly down. So that is truly the flattest location that I have. And any other areas that would, I guess, consider relatively flat are right up against my septic mound. And it's probably the only location at this point that my kids play. Even though we have what seems like a decent sized backyard, the actual usability of it because of the slope is hindered quite a bit.
So locating it just 10 feet further inward in this area, that would be impractical, you're saying?
Correct. Yep, okay. I would have to put in some sort of retaining situation that would be at least a foot, maybe 2 feet higher on the back end in order to make a level location for the shed. The intent of the shed is to put my mower in it and my gardening supplies.
Okay, I don't have anything further.
Bless you.
Bless you.
I have a question. How did this, and maybe it's a Heather question too, I don't know. How did this get brought up? Looking at the pictures, it seems like it was planned to put the shed there according to the pictures you've provided with the fencing. Now it looks like there's a pause. Did you always plan on it and then something happened that you're doing this variance and you paused? What happened there?
Yeah, correct. So I kind of mapped everything out before I had started. When we bought the property, it was the landscaping wasn't finished. Ended up having to do a lot of landscaping. I planned out the fence line, brought that in for the permit for the fencing, for the privacy fencing, and then I got started on the shed. I did not, or was not aware of the 10-foot setback for the shed at the time. I had talked to my neighbor about the plan for the fence and the shed from the very beginning, and so because the back two posts kind of double as support for the platform for what would be the shed, they also serve as the posts for the fence. That's why that kind of got started, and then I was made aware that I needed to get the variance because it was so close to the property line.
Okay.
anything else? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody here speaking for or against? Doesn't appear that there is.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just for the record, I did receive an email from Mr. Chris Lazuka that resides to the north at 8130 North Orchard Road, and he supports granting of the variance.
Great. So then,
Can I ask for clarification of that address? Is that the address that is sitting, that is touching, like that's?
Yeah, it's
North.
the borders his north property line.
north property.
Which is where the fence is?
Right here, no.
No, that's the east.
Opposite of the fence.
Or west.
This is Luzuka's house right here.
The-
Okay, thank you.
And your other neighbor, this is on the west property line.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, either northwest corner of the very northwest corner of the property line.
Right. All right. If there's no one for or against, I will close the public meeting and open for discussion.
Okay, I'll do it again. In light of the Duncan factors, which we as a board are required to consider in any adjudication that we make, quasi-adjudication or otherwise, in considering those things, I personally find it to be appropriate, given the fact that both neighbors have expressed that they have no objection to it. I don't know what else needs to be said. It's certainly not common, or not really ever, that we grant a zero setback variance. I would say this is somewhat unique, and the fact that the neighbors are in favor of it, and it's a shed as opposed to a permanent structure of a home or something, I guess I would be in favor.
Okay. If there's nothing further, I'll entertain a motion to approve variance application number 2023-137.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All right, Heather?
Mr. Hack?
Yes.
Ms. Scarpa?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Mr. Goling?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes. All right, thank you. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it. Variance has been granted.
Minutes.
Yes. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes dated, I wasn't here,
August 9th.
dated August 9th,
I'll make a motion.
2023. Second. I need to abstain because I wasn't here. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
I'm going to abstain also, I was not here.
All right, minutes are approved. And the next meeting of the BZA will be
October 11th.
October 11th, 2023. Thank you, Ashley.
Welcome.
Thank you all for coming.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Move to adjourn.
Did we get overtime?
No.